Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got a crazy deck for you, which has a turn 2 win possible in a couple of different ways. Absolutely crazy, but the price itself, well, I guess is kind of crazy as well because it's just $14.41 according to Moxfield, not including shipping or basic lands, but you already have those basics. Maybe you can, a friend to borrow them if you don't have them, or, an LGS, or, maybe just buy them in bulk. Regardless, a very budget-friendly deck for Koll the Forge Master. And, yeah, that art on this, that looks like some Return of the Jedi stuff. Apparently, that is the cheapest version of Koll, and I absolutely love that art. Anyways, Koll is a 2/2 Dwarf Warrior for red and a white. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return to its owner's hand, and creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped get ++1. So, yeah, this card has a ton of potential. Years ago when this card was spoiled, I think actually I did an episode that was called the new Turn 2 Combo King or something like that, when it was spoiled. Did a quick take on it, and yeah, it has a lot of potential. Kind of put it on the shelf and decided, you know what? I think it's time to see how cheap I can build a Koll the Forge Master deck and still have that Turn 2 combo potential. And yeah, every single card in this deck is less than 50 cents, and that includes Koll the Forge Master, again, which is just 11 cents. So it is a crazy budget-friendly deck. Again, just $14.41 according to Moxfield. If you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. I will warn you, though, there are certain playgroups out there that aren't okay with combos, even if they do involve, 3, 4, 5 cards, essentially. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you ask your playgroup, okay, if they're okay with, a combo-ish deck, ahead of time, essentially. Now, with all that said, well, let's jump into the tactics. So first up, we're going to start with one of the pieces of the combo in tactic number 1, My Hero Zero. That's right, no, we're not starting off with ramp first like I usually do. That's actually probably going to be quite a bit later because I kind of just want to illustrate exactly how this works. And again, you probably don't need to ramp, actually, if you do have the right cards in your hand to combo as early, again, as turn 2. You might even have a turn 3 combo, so you probably don't need to ramp for that either. Regardless, Ornithopter requires no ramp at all, no mana at all. It is a 0 mana, 0/2 Flying Thopter. So yes, one of the key pieces of this deck is going to have a creature that essentially is either free or kind of free adjacent, I guess I should say, kind of can pay for itself in a weird way. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Regardless, Ornithopter is a great example of one that is both an artifact and a creature, so it works with a lot of our combos. Next up, Rogra. I always mess that up. Rog. I was just saying Rog, son of Roga. There we go. Rog. A 0/1 Kobold Warrior with first strike, menace, trample, and partner. That doesn't matter. What does matter is it costs 0. Again, this is a creature that costs 0, so we can cast it. And if it happened to be returned to our hand thanks to our commander, well, yeah, we could just maybe recast it. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Next up, Impulsive Pilferer, a 1/1 Goblin Pirate that costs a single red mana. It has when it dies, you get a treasure token. So this one is kind of free in that it does pay for itself eventually. Again, when it does die, you get that treasure, which of course you could utilize for a red mana. So again, if it maybe died, had equipment attached to it, came back to our hand, we could recast it with its own mana that's generating for us. Speaking of which, Mirror Moon Vessel, a 1/1 mirror that costs 1. Again, yet another artifact creature, which again can combo with a little more things in this deck. It says when it's with a grave from play, so again, when it dies, you get a colorless mana. Next up, Skirk Prospector. This one is self-sacrificing, a 1/1 goblin that can sacrifice itself to add a red. Again, it only costs a single red mana. That is crucial. Again, you can sacrifice itself to essentially pay for itself. Speaking of which, Reckless Barbarian. Quite reckless. A 2/2 Dragon Barbarian that I sacrifice it at red. Again, it costs 1 in a red, so that you can use its own mana for itself. Cathodian, very similar. A 3/3 construct when it dies, add 3 mana essentially, and it costs, guess what? 3. There you go. And finally, got Priest of Urbrask, a 2/1 human cleric that costs 2 in a red. When it enters the battlefield, you add red to your mana pool. So again, you get the mana back right away that you put into it. But now let's move on to tactic number 2, no charge, because again, our commander, well, cares about equipment and equipment being attached to creatures, and when those creatures die, they go back to our hand if they are equipped. So let's get some free equipment. Sai of the Shinobi is just a 1-mana equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+1, so nice! We really don't care about that all that much. We don't care about that at all. In fact, what we do care about is when a creature enters the battlefield under our control, we can attach Sai of the Shinobi to it, and it's only has an equip cost of 2, which is huge. But again, we don't really care about that equip cost being 2. What we care about again is that when that creature enters battlefield under our control, we can freely attach to it again. That is the point. Creature comes into play, instant attached to this. So yeah, that can be absolutely massive, because again, if we somehow can get that creature that's equipped to die, that is again free like an Ornithopter, goes back to our hand, we can replay it, it reattaches for free. Then if we can have it die again, does the exact same thing again and again and again. Next up, Hero's Blade. Equipped creature is +3/+2. On top of that, whenever a ledger creature control enters the battlefield, essentially, you can attach this to it. Again, this is basically for Rog. If you have Rog, and we've got ways to do it for Rog, then yes, you can go get Rog, put this into play, attach it to, and so it's basically a specific equipment just for Rog, but it still works. Moving on, Stormrad Rig. This one is not as specific. Again, +1/+1, whenever creature in the battlefield under control, you may attach this to it. So yeah, again, yet another fantastic equipment. One that is good in, well, multiple ways is Grafted War Gear. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever it becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent and equip 0. So this does have an equip cost of 0, which is massive. Again, being able to just equip something for 0 is huge. That being said, this can actually play 2 roles for you if you need it to, and you have the right cards. If you've got 2 free creatures, well, you can move it if you need to do that sacrifice, if you need to start off a sacrifice chain in some way. Regardless, again, the important thing here is, hey, equip a creature for 0. Next up, Obsidian Battle Axe. Whenever a warrior enters the battlefield, essentially, you can attach this to it. We do have a warrior that is Rog. So again, it just freely attaches to Rog. And then finally, Ronin War Club. Whenever a creature is battlefield under control, you attach to that creature. Again, +2/+1. Nice. It's nice that they get like little boosts too. Like that's just nice, right? But what we care about again is not that. What we care about is just being able to attach. We don't care about the +2/+1. We don't care about any of that. What we care about is a free attach for our free creatures. But now let's move on to tactic number 3, the Golden Pig, where we're going to talk about the Golden Pig, the #1 card out of 99, which is Goblin Bombardment. I love the art in this one. And just 29 cents for this version, an absolute steal. And Chim for 1 and a red, sacrifice a creature, Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to any target. This card is massive in this deck for 2 reasons. Number 1 is a free sacrifice outlet. So again, being able to freely cast a creature, get it freely attached to equipment, and now freely sacrifice it, that is huge. That is how our chain works. But more importantly, I mean, not more importantly, I guess, in addition, I should say, hey, also, I guess this is 2. I did like a 1 and then a 2. So 2, number 2 point. There we go. Not throw off at all. It is also a win condition for us because, again, it can deal that damage. So, again, 1 damage to anything, that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you do it an infinite number of times, that's, you know, whatever amount of damage you want to the creatures, for the player's faces. I know it's technically not infinite, right? But at the very least, 120 damage, right? Because that's going to be all your opponent's faces. They're all gone. Again, as early as turn 2, they can all get taken out. It's a really, really good part of the combo, and we'll talk about some other pieces of the actual, you know, specific combo, if I can remember to do so later on in the episode, that, you know, wins on turn 2. There's a couple different ways to do it. Regardless, there are still some other amazing cards that work and can combo with this deck. So now let's move on to tactic number 4, Outlet Maul, because we've got a lot of other fantastic sacrifice outlets. Ones that might not just win us the game right then, they're like Goblin Bombardment, but still are fantastic and help us win the game in combination with another card. A Tog is a great 1, sacrifice an artifact, gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So again, with any of those artifact creatures that we can cast basically freely, again, like Cathodian, essentially it pays for itself, Mere Moon Vessel, and of course Ornithopter, this is a great sacrifice outlet for them, and this can just get infinitely large too, so I guess that could technically take 1 player out. There you go. Next up, Betrothed of Fire. This is an interesting one. It's an aura. It says sacrifice an untapped creature. This is going to get +2/+0 until end of turn. So yeah, you can get this on, you know, your commander, maybe even just pump it infinitely essentially as well. But again, the important part is a free sacrifice outlet that you don't have to pay for to sacrifice your untapped creatures, which are going to be the creatures you keep playing. So unless someone has something like, you know, Authority of the Consuls essentially in play that makes them enter the battlefield tap, then you're going to be fine to be able to sacrifice creatures. Next up, Uxida Daredevil. Again, sacrifice an artifact. It gets haste until end of turn. Cool. We don't really care about the haste. What we care about is this a free sacrifice outlet for us. Next up, Ravenous Intruder. Basically the exact same thing as a Tog. Sack an artifact, +2/+2. Then we've got Slow Bad. This one's an interesting one. Sacrifice an artifact. Target artifact gains indestructible until end of turn. This can actually be a good protection spell, essentially. A way to protect one of our combo pieces. And also, hey, it is a Goblin. And we might have a Goblin Tutor to talk about here in a bit. Then we're going to get this. Next up, a Garden Dragonheart. Sacrifice another creature until end of turn. This becomes a dragon with base power numbers 4/4 with flying and haste. We don't care if it has, a 4/4 base power, toughness, flying. We don't care about any of that. What we care about is a free sacrifice outlet again. And yet, even when it is already that 4/4, we can still just keep activating that. And it just stays the same, essentially. It does not matter. Next up, Piston Sledge. Equip, sacrifice an artifact. So again, we can sacrifice an artifact to equip this to a creature. Demon Male Halberg. Equip, sacrifice a creature again. So yet another way to equip this onto something by sacrificing a creature. And then finally, Thermopod. Another incredible one. Up there with Golem Bombardment, not quite there though. This one can basically win us the game. A 4/3 slug that costs 5 mana. Sacrifice a creature, add red to your mana pool. This one essentially is, hey, let's generate infinite mana. We actually have some other ways to generate infinite mana as well. This is the easiest way to do so. Again, this being your key sacrifice outlet, this is going to actually do it for you. Get infinite mana, and then, yeah, you can probably dig through your deck and get the exact card that you need to win from there. But now let's move on to tactic number 5, ins and outs, to talk about the ins and outs of, well, taking advantage of our combo pieces. So here we go. We've got Grape Shot, a fantastic card. A sorcerer for 1 in a red. It's going to deal 1 damage to any target, and it's got Storm. So again, basically for however many spells you cast that turn, you are going to be dealing that much damage, essentially, with Grape Shot. So yeah, just, again, get Ornithopter in play, get attached to equipment, sacrifice it with something, and do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And then all of a sudden, this is, again, not technically infinite damage, yes, but 100,000, 100 million, whatever number you want it to be, damage, and you take your opponents out. Next up, Impact Tremors. This one just does it while it's on the battlefield. Enchantment for 1 and a red. Whenever a creature's on the battlefield under your control, it's going to do 1 damage to each opponent. So again, basically you have to go through that loop, probably about 40 times, and all of a sudden your opponents are taken out. Next up, Reckless Fireweaver. A 1/3 human artificer that says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it's going to do 1 of each opponent. Again, this one is artifact specific, so it will work with, again, like, Cathodian, Mirror Moon Vessel, Ornithopter, those that will work with. Next up, Stone Haven Outfitter. This one does not win us the game, but it can help us get there. It's a 2/2 core artificer ally. It says whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Yeah, that's going to be all the time. We're just going to keep doing that again and again and again. And with this one, I will note that you do need to be careful, obviously, because you could mill yourself out. Obviously, this is great to go get to a win condition for you. But, yeah, if you, draw an infinite amount of cards, you lose. So don't do that. Make sure you sacrifice this. Again, you got plenty of sacrifice outlets to sacrifice this before you do that. Regardless, getting your entire hand, or getting your entire library to your hand is nice. Gauge to the afterlife. In a similar way, whenever a non-token creature control dies, you gain 1 life, then you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. This is a mace, so keep that in mind. Basically, dig through your entire deck, get the exact cards that you need to win. Again, you're drawing and discarding, so just however many cards you have in your hand is what you're going to end up with. Then there's Ingenious Artillerist, if I could talk. Whenever one of our artifacts on a battlefield control, it's going to deal 1 damage to each opponent, essentially. That much damage. But yeah, basically, just Ornithopter comes into play again and again and again. Take your opponents out. Woody Romus Master, which deals damage every single time when your creatures come to play. Basically, it's an Impact Tremors, but on a body. So again, yeah, another way to take players out. Defiler of Instinct. This went up in multiple ways. A 4/4 first strike. Additional cost to cast a red permanent spell. You may pay 2 life. The spells cost red less to cast if you pay life this way. The effect reduces the only amount of red mana you pay. This can really help us get going. This can help us kind of go infinite-ish, but obviously we're limited based on our life total. But also, hey, whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target. So again, not reducing that cost is going to save us because we're not going to, well, lose the game by losing all of our life. But also, hey, if we just keep casting Rog again and again and again, it's technically a red spell, right? Or, Skirk Prospect or any of those, yeah, we can deal out basically infinite damage. Outpost Siege works when our creatures are leaving the battlefield. Whenever creature control leaves the battlefield, 1 damage to any target. So again, yet another thing that stays on the battlefield and says, hey, I'm ready for you to go. Ready for you to go infinite. And then we've got Teshar, Ancestor's Apostle. Technically, I guess this could go infinite with, if you had, one of your free creatures, essentially, and you're going with that. And maybe you had another one of those kind of like paid creatures, the Skirk Prospect essentially that can pay for itself in your graveyard. You could, I guess, keep sacrificing that to essentially get infinite mana, because this one says whenever you cast a historic spell, turn target creature card mana value 3 or less from your to the battlefield. Again, historic spells include artifacts, so again, like Ornithopter would be part of one, or like Rog, which is legendary, that would work too. Finally, Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature's battlefield under control deals damage to its power to any target. This works with, I should say, most of those free creatures. It does not work with, like Ornithopter, which has 0 power, so keep that in mind. But now let's move on to tactic number 6, make it happen, because we've got some awesome tutors that can help us set ourselves up to actually do this. So first up, we got Reckless Handling, a source for 1 and a red. Search live for an artifact card, reveal, put in your hand, then shuffle, then discard a card at random. If an artifact was discarded this way, it's going to deal 2 damage to each opponent. So essentially, yeah, chances are pretty likely that you're not going to discard the card that you went and searched for. Hopefully not, because yeah, we're probably going to get that combo piece that we need. Again, we've got an artifact as a combo piece in each one of our 3 kind of buckets, essentially, right? Our sacrifice outlets, we've got an artifact. Our actual creatures, we got an artifact. And then also our, equipment, we got artifacts too, obviously. Relic Seekers, yet another one that can help us out in a specific way. A 2/1 with a renown 1. Whenever it comes renown, you may search life for an equipment, reveal it, put your hand, then shuffle. So an equipment tutor, again, one that can help us out. And on top of that, whenever this creature deals counter to a player, again, if it wasn't renowned, we get a counter on it comes renowned. So that's just another reminder as to what renowned is. So just get through in combat and you're good to go. Next up, Forging the Entire Sword. This one does take some time, but it can still help us out in the meantime. The first and second lower counters are created treasure tokens, so some little kind of mini ramp there, temporary ramp. The third one, search live for a card named Halvar. Nope, we're not going to do that. Equipment card. There we go. So go get that equipment card, get it right in your hand, and then you're good to go. Next up, I kind of alluded to this one earlier. Goblin Matron. 1/1 Goblin enters the battlefield. We search live for a Goblin card, reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle. Again, we've got Goblin cards that can actually be a combo piece, like, a Skirk Prospector in that way, or, Slow Bad the Tinkerer in that way as well. So yeah, we've got different kind of parts of that combo that we can grab with this. Next up, Scrapyard Recombiner. We do have a construct, actually. I believe it's Cathodian. That is actually one of our combo pieces as well. This one can help go get that. Tap, sacrifice an artifact. That can actually just be this. Search live for a construct card, reveal, put in your hand, then shuffle your library. Search for Glory can go get Rog. Yes, thank you. Search live for a Snow permanent card, not doing that. Ledger card, yep, or Saga, reveal, put in your hand, then shuffle. You gain 1 life for Snow. We're not doing that. What we care about, again, is just go get Rog with this. Rog is a great combo piece for us. Then there's Mirror Kinsmith. This will go get Mirror Moon Vessel for you. Enters battlefield, search live for a Mirror card, reveal, put in your hand, then shuffle. Seal Shaper Apprentice can help us get in equipment. Pay a white, tap, return it to its owner's hand. Go get equipment, get it right in your hand, then shuffle your library. Silken Taj Nar Swordsmith. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay X if you do search life for an equipment card. Convert mana cost X or less, put it in the battlefield, then shuffle. Again, one of ours, like Sai, essentially, is just 1 mana, right? So if we just have 1 extra mana, we can go get that equipment piece that we need. Then there's Fervent Mastery. This one can actually get like all of our pieces that we need, though it is kind of risky because you can pay 4 rather than paying its mana. It costs essentially 2 red. If you paid that, an opponent discards any number of cards and draws as many cards, sure, you might want to do that. That doesn't really matter all that much. If an opponent's tapped out, they're not going to be able to stop you. So most of the time, I should say, there are free counter spells. Next up, and it says search life for the 3 cards, put them in your hand, then shuffle, then discard 3 cards at random. So again, hey, you play this, you go get 3 cards, and you hope that those actually help you. Again, you hope that they don't get discarded. And if none of them get discarded, again, you can go get Goblin Armor. You can go get your key pieces to actually win the game then and there. Then there's Hoarding Dragon. This one helps specifically for artifacts. Enters the battlefield, search your life for an artifact card, exile, then shuffle. When this creature dies, you may put the exile card in its owner's hand. Again, we have plenty of sacrifice outlets. We can sacrifice this and make sure we get that artifact. And then finally, Thalia's Lancers. Yet again, another way to go get Rog. Enters the battlefield, search your life for a ledger card, reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle. So again, yet another way to say, Rog, you're coming in, buddy. Go get him, Rog. Yeah, Rog's a great one to have in these combos. But now let's move on to tactic number 7, great loot, because we've got plenty of great looting ways to dig down into our deck to get to those combo pieces or to get to those tutors that can help us get there. Faithless Looting is a fantastic one. A single red mana, draw 2, discard 2. On top of that, hey, flash it back, and then you can go again. Bitter Reunion is a great one as well. Enters the battlefield, discard 1 card, draw 2. We can also give our creatures haste if we really want to. Sure, why not? Anyways, next up, Cathartic Reunion. Discard 2, draw 3. So again, digging even further down. There's still a possibility. Instant speed, discard 1, draw 2. Thrilling Discovery, again, kind of like Cathartic Reunion. Discard 2, draw 3, gain 2 life. What's not to love about that? Tormenting Voice, just a slower version of... Oh, throw a possibility. I almost forgot the name. There we go. And it's okay, though. Again, sorcery speed. Again, we're going to be doing most things very quickly with this deck, trying to get to those combo pieces. So again, the more ways we have to dig down, the better. So we're also running Wild Guess. Red, discard 1 card, draw 2. Season Spoils stops out in a different way as well. Discard 1 card, draw 2, but also make a treasure token. So again, a nice little temporary ramp there for us. Pirate's Pillage in an even bigger way. Discard 1, draw 2, 2 treasure tokens for us. And then Inspired Tinkering is our last one in this topic. Exile the top 3 cards of your library until the end of your next stream. I play those cards, create 3 treasure tokens. So again, this can help us dig even further, give us a good amount of mana to set ourselves up to actually win the game from there. Next up, let's talk about tactic number 8, Ramp and Reduce, and, well, Ritual too, I guess. Infernal Plunge is a great card in this deck, and one of the ways that we can go infinite on turn 2, essentially, with a couple of different variations. A source for a single red mana, sacrifice a creature, add red to your mana pool, and I'm actually going to mess this up right now, most likely, but here we go. Okay, I believe the combination that you need to go infinite on turn 1, and there's different variables to it, like a Mountain and a Plains will probably work, as well as Infernal Plunge, Ornithopter, Rog, goodness, God Bombardment, and I'm missing one, Scythe of the Shinobi. There you go. That is the combination. Infernal Plunge can actually get you there. Turn 1, play that Scythe of the Shinobi. Turn 2, free Ornithopter, sacrifice it with this Infernal Plunge. You then got 4 mana essentially in that turn to work with. Then, yeah, you get your other one out. You get your commander out, and then you get your, the God Bombardment out, and then you win. There you go. There's your turn 2. I remember to talk about it. I remember to bring it back up, and I just want to make sure I went through every single card first. Again, this is a nice little, even if this doesn't actually get you there to that combo right away, it's a great way to actually just speed you up to that process, get you set up properly to win. And then, I'm sorry, Wayfarer's Bauble, but I can't say first up. Second up in this tactic is Wayfarer's Bauble. Pay 2, tap, sacrifice, go get a basic land and play tapped. Boros Signet, another great way to ramp. Again, pay 1 into it, taps for our colors. Felwar Stone, low the ground, fantastic. Basically is going to give us our colors most of the time. Again, depends on our opponent's land situation. Talisman of Conviction does give us our colors, but there's some pain to it. That's okay, though. Tap for a color, or tap for either red or white. Deals 1 damage to us. We're going to take our opponents out too quick for them to actually do anything about our life total. Then there's Foundry Inspector, a great way to reduce the cost of our artifacts. This can help us go infinite very easily once we're set up properly, and actually can help us go infinite in different ways, because again, like Mirror Moon Vessel, Cathodium, those are going to cost less, right? And they do, again, usually just add their amount of mana back to us. But with a reduction of 1, then we have infinite mana when we are going in that direction. Hazaret's Monument can work in a similar way with that one Barbarian that sacrifices for red. Red creature spells you cast cost wants to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Yeah, another way to help us dig down into our deck, essentially. Once we're going infinite, cool. Just dig down through your entire deck and get the exact cards that you need. And again, potentially adding infinite mana with this as well. Startime Courser, finally. Again, artifact enchantment spells you cast cost wants to cast. So this can help in multiple ways, reducing the cost of a lot of cards in this deck. But now that we've talked about every single non-land card in this deck, let's quickly talk about the great land of this deck that I want to highlight, and that is Axgard Armory. Enters battlefield, taps for a white, pay 1 red, and a white, tap, sacrifice it, search for life for an aura, or yes, an equipment card, reveal and put in your hand, then shuffle. I guess there is one aura that can help us, with the outlet. Actually, there was one that I did talk about, but most of the time we're going to be tutoring for an equipment with this. Yeah, a fantastic land, again, that doesn't really take up a spot in this deck and can definitely help us out in a lot of situations, so a fantastic add to the deck. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on this deck. What do you think about the build? What other kinds of variations do you think that this deck could have? What kind of additions would you add into the deck? I mean, like, Altar Dimension could be very good in the deck. I mean, there's plenty of Phyrexian Altar. There's a lot of great ones that could be good in the deck if you're willing to up the budget just a little bit. But again, even on this $14.41 budget, there are so many powerful things that you can do with it. Again, a potential turn 2 win on this kind of a budget. Absolutely crazy. If you are interested in this deck, again, probably ask your play group first if it's okay with them, or those are your LGS essentially, if they're okay with combo. And yeah, if they are, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Again, comment below with your thoughts, and of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.